Chris Scalzi here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of the first run, Matt and I are going to discuss The Kid Who Would Be King, the latest interpretation of the King Arthur legend, but this time set as a rollicking children's adventure. We're also going to catch up with the Netflix original Polar, starring Mads Mikkelson as Brian Mills as Liam Neeson, as a retired hitman who's got a special set of skills, and basically what happens when your IRA goes bust. And then finally, it's going to be the return of What Are the Odds, where Matt and I apply the odds of some things happening, some things maybe not happening, and then, of course, never revisit it once it comes. So last week, Matt, we had a little experimentation where we introduced some pre-recorded audio clips to play in place of the trailers. And I got to admit, Matt, I felt like it was an unmitigated disaster. So in not having the opportunity to auto-tune that snaz, I'm going to go back to old school because first off, it's just more comfortable for me.
Sure.
And I'm not as embarrassed. Not that that's ever really been an issue for me here, but still. So let's.
But you gotta promise me though that once you do auto tune them, you're gonna get at least one whirl.
I will.
Yeah.
And as a treat, I will play for you the French version of the final segment theme today that I had teased last week.
I cannot wait.
There you go. So anyway, let's ease back into things the way we used to be. And here's a clip from The Kid Who Would Be King.
Maybe it's a prank, a YouTube thing, a social experiment. Maybe there were hidden cameras. Look. There's something written on the guard. Put it into Google Translate. Gladius Arturi Filius Tintagelli. It's Latin. It means sword of Arthur, son of Tintagel. Who's Tintagel? It's a place. An island off the coast of Cornwall. Some people say it's where King Arthur was born. Alex, what if you're the only person who could have pulled that sword out? What if it's the sword in the stone?
All right, Matt. So why don't you tell the fine folks at home, as if they probably didn't already figure it out?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot more, but yeah, sure.
What is The Kid Who Would Be King all about? And as always, this episode is specifically mastered for a particular listening experience. This one, of course, is attempting to pull a sword out of a stone. So if you're in that situation, that's the perfect time to pop on this episode. So go.
All right. So it's essentially about a young boy in England, bullied. He is running away from bullies, and he finds a sword stuck into a piece of concrete. He pulls it out, and he discovers that he is the long part of the long lineage of King Arthur, and he has the duty to defeat the sorceress Morgana with his trusty, quickly hastened and knighted Knights of the Round Table.
There you go. I think that pretty much sums it up. I do enjoy the fact that you said the word duty. And I think, too, part of the thing is, it turns out is, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, but he's not actually like related, right?
Right.
It's more of and I think this is one of the interesting things about the themes about the film, is that anybody can be the hero, right? What your circumstances, who you are, your lineage, your economic status, whatever the case may be, it's just about doing the right thing.
Right.
And I think that's a great little message that comes through this. I think it's a very fun and well-executed family adventure film.
Yeah.
And in fact, it made me almost nostalgic for the kids' movies of my youth. You know, your Time Bandits, your Goonies, your The Explorers, Monster Squad, right? I don't know if it's really up to the par of those, but I think that's more because there's a tinge of nostalgia that kind of elevates the source the material at that point, right?
Sure.
But still, overall, for a kid's adventure film, I thought this was really well done. It may not have the magic of those other films I mentioned, but it's very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I didn't take my daughter to go see this, so I don't know what her thoughts would be from an actual kid, because but you're right. I mean, they just don't make films like this anymore. They haven't made like kind of these kids adventure films that we grew up on in the 80s that we just love so much. But you're right. I don't know if it's the film itself or it's just the fact that you know, like you said, it's kind of like we were kids when we saw some of the things that you would compare this to. So we obviously think they're maybe better than they are. Or they have a certain kind of nostalgia for us. But I thought this was a lot of fun. You know, and I was glad to see this type of film, come out. You just, like I said, you just don't see them very often. Most kids' films are basically cartoons now.
Yeah, exactly. It's this, or it's the superhero movies.
Sure.
Really, you know, but still, yeah, I think Joe Cornish did a great job. If you're not familiar, his other film, and I can't believe, I don't know what the issue is, why he's so long between projects, but is another fun, great little sci-fi film, Attack the Block, which he also wrote and directed. And that's a film that also stars our boy John Boyega, which of course has become a much bigger star due to the Star Wars franchise.
Right.
But I think he perfectly kind of just captures the tone with this thing. It's funny without really being silly, and it has some really interesting, I think, and fun visual effects. I think that's part of what stoked the nostalgia for me, is when they're fighting the skeleton fire zombie things, right? I mean, it has that old school kind of feel to it. And I appreciated kind of the timely message about, you know, unity in troubled times.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Cornish, I think, does a great job of definitely handling the kind of dramatic family moments when there's certain reveals about our star's past and, you know, his father and all this stuff. It really is well done. As I said, I was really impressed with this thing. And I got to admit, I was going in underwhelmed with expectations. I was not expecting much from this thing. And I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I was actually surprised you suggested this, because I was like, okay, I don't think that looks like it's going to be any good, but all right, I guess we'll go see it. And, you know, I was, like you said, I was pleasantly surprised.
Anything else you have to add? But how about Rebecca Ferguson as Morgan Le Fay? That was fun too. Yeah,
she's very fun. I mean, like I said, everybody's solid in this film. I mean, the kids, which is always a real hit or miss thing with kid actors. You know, they all put in solid performances. It's fun. It's got stakes and all that kind of stuff, but it's not like overly it's not like overly heavy or anything like that. And it's got, I mean, if I have one nitpick, it probably kind of becomes a kind of, you know, maybe B+ grade CGI fest that, you know, at some points in the film, but you know, what is it? What are you going to do? So I thought it was very good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it has not performed well at all.
No.
This thing cost about $60 million to make, and as of today's recording of this on Saturday, February 2nd, $13.6 million.
Is that just US take?
It doesn't say here on the Wikipedia page, but let us check out the box office of the Mojos.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's doing better in the UK.
Let's hope so. Let's see, because it's too bad. Because the problem is, and this stuff like this doesn't really continue to get made. Yeah, no, that's it. 13,578 domestically, 10 million, foreign 3.5.
That's too bad.
So we are not performing well here, unfortunately. Though I guess Glass won the weekend last weekend, so that's good. I guess maybe
good-ish, yeah.
So it looks like it's actually it's Glass is ahead too, even this weekend right now. Interesting. I would not have expected that.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are going to stay away from this at the same time, you know, because it's not, I mean, it is a kid's movie, but so you're going to have a lot of adults staying away from it, a lot of older kids staying away from it. And it's not immediately like a cartoon. So maybe it's not as family friendly as some of the really younger stuff. It seems like I have like kind of a really narrow age range where this is something that would draw people in.
Why do you think that is? Why does it seem to be just animated films and then superhero movies, which are geared, I think, more towards adults than they are kids? But what happened to this kind of genre of filmmaking? Why don't we see this stuff anymore?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's just not interested from a kid's perspective. You know, I don't know if it's just the fact that, you know, there's just so much more entertainment available. I mean, it's hard to get. I mean, when we were kids, you know, we would get left at the movie theater and like nobody would think twice about it, kind of thing. Whereas now, you know, nobody, you know, you would never do that kind of thing. So I don't know. I really don't know what it is.
Interesting. If you have any ideas out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts about it. So where are you coming down with the kid? I'm going to give him a B+. What about you?
Are you? I was going to give it a solid B.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Once again, we are drastically
miles apart. You really got to choose which side you're going to be on in our reviews.
So if you've had a chance to see The Kid Who Would Be King, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, moving right along. Coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday, February 5th. Here's a clip from a film that I saw that you didn't, that I really loved, and I hope people will catch up with it because it didn't really play that many theaters, unfortunately, and it deserves a lot more love than it got. So here is a clip.
What's wrong with you?
You know what happened last night?
Yes? And?
You remember that you hit me?
I hit you? I hit you?
Stop pretending and spare me the I don't remember routine. You hit me in public, Charlie. So as sure as you're looking at me right now, I'm leaving.
No, wait. All right, what do you want? It's about slapping each other in public. So I slap you, you slap me back, we're even. So go ahead, hit me. Jesus Christ! What is your goddamn problem? I slapped you and whacked you in the head with a shovel.
You do remember.
That, of course, is Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly in The Sisters Brothers by Jacques Audiard. A great little film. Again, you really should check it out. It's kind of a, I don't want to say a dark comedy, but it's really fascinating. It's very funny. Also has some drama. There's some conflict between the two brothers, two guys who basically are enforcers, right, for a boss. And they kind of just want to do their own thing, but they kind of get their acts together. And then they end up going on. Well, you know what? I don't want to spoil it. Check it out. It's great. And you can finally pick it up now on Blu-ray and DVD. There is a Striking Gold, a modern day Western making of featurette, and a couple other promotional ones. But again, check it out, please. Steve McQueen's Widows is being released as well, Matt. There's 3 making of featurettes included on this one. Again, another great film with a fantastic ensemble cast and universally fantastic performances by everybody involved. If you haven't seen Widows, you should definitely check that one out as well. A film that I want to catch up with that I didn't is starring Rosamund Pike, plays Marie Colvin. It's a story about the journalist, who goes in all these war zones. It's a true story. A Private War is being released as well. The Girl in the Spider's Web. So this was, I think, a big disappointment for us because we both enjoy Fede Alvarez's first 2 films there, the Evil Dead reimagining, and then Don't Breathe, which was really a tense little thriller. And The Girl in the Spider's Web, Matt, is just, it's inert. You know, it's somehow devoid of any action and thrills and really anything interesting, unfortunately. But that's coming out. Disobedience, starring Rachel Weisz and Rachel McAdams, is being released as well. Story about a young woman who returns to her strict Orthodox Jewish community after her father's funeral and becomes ostracized because of her relationship with another woman. Supposed to be some fantastic performances in that. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to catch up with it, but now is my chance. The animated version of Dr. Seuss's The Grinch is coming out. If you get it from Best Buy, there's a steel book. Target's got a additional book included with it, and Walmart has 16 Valentine's Day postcards included. There is a interactive map of who's who and Whoville in there, as well as some other featurettes and 3 mini movies. The Long Dumb Road, starring Jason Mantzoukas, Tessa Farmiga, Casey Wilson, and Ron Livingston, is being released. I'm a big Mantzoukas fan. You know Jason Mantzoukas, Matt?
Yes, I do. He was made a career out of playing Wild-Eyed Crazy. I
think that's good. I love him. He's always been the bright spot in the league for me whenever he would show up. And he's a regular on probably my favorite podcast outside of this one, a Comedy Bang Bang. So 2 guys serendipitously meet at a time when they both find themselves at a personal crossroads and decide to embark on an unplanned trip across the American Southwest. Netflix is releasing its first Blu-ray of one of their films. Matt, would you like to guess what it is? Of everything they've put out, what is their first one?
Their first, I don't know. Cloverfield Paradox.
Boom.
Really?
Indeed.
Wow. It's a surprise.
There's a making of featurette and another one on the cast. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is releasing Ingmar Bergman's Shame. It's a brand new 2K restoration of the film. Interviews with Bergman, a brief excerpt from a press conference for the film back from 67 and 68. New interview with the actor Liv Ullmann, as well as an introduction to Ingmar Bergman, a 1968 documentary made during the film's production. Arrow is releasing The Possessed. A visitor arrives in a small Italian village looking for a woman. Residents tell him that she committed suicide, but there's more to the mystery than they're letting on. Meanwhile, a strange woman walks by the lake. So there's that. Some catalog releases coming out: Poetic Justice and Higher Learning, as well as In Good Company, Heart and Souls, Shadowlands, and Greedy, all being released on Blu-ray. And then finally, your straight to DVD pick of the week, Matt: Mermaid, Lake of the Dead. A water nymph falls in love with a woman's fiancé and aims to keep him all to herself in her underwater kingdom, where she is cursed to spend eternity. Now, okay, that doesn't seem that interesting. It's the sole Amazon review that really made me laugh, Matt.
Okay.
This DVD is listed as being in English and subtitled in English. I saw the preview and it was not in English. Please do not misrepresent. If I wanted to read for entertainment, I'd read a book. I would not read a movie. And I those kind of attitudes just drive me crazy.
Right.
So you're going to rather watch an English dubbed version of The Seven Samurai? That's really what we're going to go with? Or, I don't understand people at all. So make me feel better, Matt. What should we be streaming this week?
So I'm going to recommend a weird little film from the mid-90s called Mars Attacks. It's a Tim Burton film. It is a kind of who's who of people in the 90s who play a bunch of bit roles. It's a very odd, strange throwback to kind of like 50s invasion films, but it can be kind of fun if you have the right mindset going into it.
I haven't seen that, I think, probably since it came out.
Yeah.
I remember really liking it at the time. I'll have to check that out. When is it? What's that on again?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. We'll have to check into that. All right, Matt, let's go ahead and keep the train rolling. Now, oh man, I'm telling you give me Mads Mikkelson in like a hitman movie.
What could go wrong?
Apparently, Matt, everything.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So let's take a listen to a clip from Polar.
I like it here. It makes me peaceful.
Me too.
You're not from around here, are you?
No, I'm retired.
What was your job?
I was in the funeral business.
Huh.
As you know, we manage the investments of our employees. If a former agent dies after retirement, their $8 million goes back to the company.
This is a bad idea.
Where the hell is he? Somebody set me up over here. You better pray you have nothing to do with it.
That's right. I think we all somehow may have been involved because we have all been punished. Polar stars Mads Mikkelson and Vanessa Hudgens, as well as Matt Lucas and Catherine Winnick. Mads plays a retired assassin, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And how this works is, if you heard in that little trailer, if you don't make it to your retirement date and you're taken out, the company that you work for gets your retirement,
right,
which is $8 million for Mads. And basically the company then goes out to try and take him out so they don't have to pay him his money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that Jonas Ackerland Giannis is making a big moral statement about corporate greed and the exploitation of labor. At least maybe I could have thought that going off the initial description, but instead, what we get is one of the dumbest action films I can remember ever seeing.
That's saying a lot.
And though I will give this praise for one thing, I think we've met our quotient for a gratuitous nudity for 2019 already.
You think so?
I think we're good at this point.
I don't know. Can never have too much.
Watching this thing, I think my eyes almost rolled back to the back of my head. About 5 minutes in, I was like, maybe not even, maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, what are we in for? This is an adaptation of a graphic novel. And I think what happens is, I don't know if he's too slavishly addicted to representing that, because this thing it's not only dumb, but it's droll. And I don't know if the adherence to the graphic novel structure results in too much style over substance.
Right.
But it's too gonzo for its own good. I really think this thing screams like late 80s, 90s action film. And the target audience for this thing is clearly like 13-year-old boys. For me, it's like if Lucky Number Slevin had just done an S-load more of cocaine than they did making that film.
Right.
This is what the result would be. I mean, there may be some interesting action scenes and fight choreography for maybe, if I were to put it all together, maybe 5 minutes. But overall, this thing, is it just a disaster? Am I wrong? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if I would be that harsh with it. I mean, it's not good. And it's funny that you mentioned Lucky Number Slevin. It actually kind of reminded me of Smoking Aces.
Yeah.
So like a mob lawyer, which I thought was...
Stop. I lost you.
Oh, you did?
So as soon as you said Smoking Aces, you went down.
Oh, okay.
So hold on, let me reset here. I'll count you down. And just say Smoking Aces again, and then just go. Okay.
Smoking Aces. Without the...
yeah, that's right.
Without the pleasures of having Jason Bateman play a small cameo part as a VD-riddled furry who's also a mob lawyer. I don't know what this thing was actually trying to be. I can't tell if it was supposed to be kind of this like over-the-top, like just... you know, like you said, what a 13-year-old would think is cool kind of movie, or if it's supposed to be some kind of like, you know, grim, you know, Angel of Death kind of thing, where Mads Mikkelson is cutting through a swath through the bad guys. It seems almost like it's like two different movies. Like there's the movie with like Matt Lucas and Catherine Winnick and all the hitmen, and then there's the movie with Mads. And none of those really seem to interact or mesh very well together. It's just it's a mess. I can even say that it had even some good ideas in it, unfortunately. Richard
Dreyfuss shows up in this thing for about 4 minutes.
Man, how arthritic is he?
I was initially actually kind of excited about that. But it was absolutely dreadful. And the whole film is like that. Vanessa Hudgens is what Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Hudgens as well is just, I'm sorry. She is, I don't know if it's the fault of the writing and direction in this thing for her, but she's supposed to play this woman whose family, well, there's stuff happens, but something horrible happens to her. Let's screw it. I'm going to spoil it for you. Her family is killed. So she's now living in this place and just trying to recuperate and kind of find herself and stuff. And it's just, her whole thing is it's just a disaster. I can't explain to you how bad this thing is. I really can't. I really have nothing else to say. This thing it didn't quite make me angry.
No,
watching this thing, because the problem is it didn't even evoke that kind of emotion in me. Right. It was more just, man, how bad is this thing going to get? Okay. Right. Yeah, of course. It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
Every single time it gets worse. And it's more like, I want to do this, and this, because that'll be cool. Oh, that'll be cool. That sounds cool. Let's do that. And that's how we end up with a film. And that's not even remotely cool.
Yep. It does bring a new definition to finger guns, though.
Clearly, the only redeeming thing with this too is Mads, but he's still underutilized. I mean, he's the star of the film, but they don't take advantage of his particular talents in this thing. It's more just he's kind of just sleepwalking through this whole thing. The only thing, Matt, that saves us from being an absolute F for me is him.
Right.
He's somehow able to elevate this crap fest just enough where I'm giving it a D+.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the strength of Mads. If you had somebody else in here that I wasn't as big a fan of, I don't know. I may have put my remote through my television. This thing is, I feel it's that bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a D. I think you're right. The only reason I can't give it an F is just because I love Mads so much. But to be fair, if he wasn't in it, we wouldn't have watched this film. So there you go.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
So maybe in a way, he's partially to blame.
How dare you? How dare you betray our fandom?
So if you had a chance to see Polar, and just trust me, don't. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right, Matt. It's time to move on then to the final segment. It's going to be What Are the Odds? But as a treat, as I told you, I'm going to play to you the original French accent version.
I cannot wait.
Of what this was going to be. And then I'm going to roll right into the regular clip. So enjoy, I guess. Oui, oui, this is final segment. It could be Collie. Et travail was yours. And a number of things. I hope you enjoy it, oui.
I'm ready for the Russian ambassador.
Who did your makeup?
We went for something dramatic. Do you like it?
You look like a badger.
Oh.
Are you going to cry? Really? Well, what do you think you look like?
Badger.
Do you really think you can meet the Russian delegation looking like that?
No.
I will manage it. Go back to your rooms.
Thank you. Did you just look at me? Did you? Look at me! Look at me! How dare you! Close your eyes!
That, of course, is from the best film of 2018, The Favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So check that one out, kids. So, all right, Matt, what are the odds? Here's your first one. What are the odds The Favorite wins Best Picture?
Oh boy. I'm gonna say 40%. As much as I know the Oscar loves a period piece, and as good as it is, for some reason I just can't get over this dread that that Green Book's gonna win. I just feel like it is for some reason.
Oh, it's Crash all over again, but maybe even worse.
Mm.
So no, I agree with you. I'm not even gonna go that high. I'm thinking around 32% because I like the
Like the sound of 32?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going 32% on that. I'm not confident. It should.
Yeah.
If all was right in the world, but I don't know. We'll see. But clearly my percentage means I am not confident.
All right.
What do you got?
All right. So they're in the process of filming Mission Impossible 7 and 8 back to back for one after the other releases. So, Chris, what are the odds that this is the last of the Mission Impossibles with Tom Cruise?
Oh, good one. I'm going 80%.
That's his last ones?
Yeah.
This is it for him?
Yep. I am fairly positive that this is it. I think this is why they're going back to back. That Tom wants to go out. What's Tom clocking in at? Is he 57?
Yeah, he's in his mid to late 50s for sure.
Let me see. Tom Cruise. How do you spell that? CQRSPS 52. 56. I was right. He's 56 years old. He'll be 57 this year.
Right. So he'll be the last time he'll be pushing 60 by the last time the last one of these things comes out.
I got to look into this Scientology thing. That cat looks good. Mr. Mopather, man, it's working for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say 70%. I think that if he can push for one more, he may do it. Just kind of maybe a true passing of the torch, but we'll see what they come out with.
And I'm not counting him coming back as a mentor type thing,
right?
Like a literal, like he's in the first 20 minutes to pass the torch. That doesn't count. I'm talking Ethan Hunt, driving star of the film. Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna still say with 70%. I think it's pretty likely this is his last ones, but we'll see. I mean, you're right though. You can't keep breaking his ankles and his ribs for Mission Impossible.
No.
So.
All right, Matt. What are the odds? I had to do it. Okay. What are the odds Jake Gyllenhaal is the next Batman? So if you haven't heard, it's official. Ben Affleck is out.
Right.
Matt Reeves is moving forward with a new Batman, and he's supposed to be in his early to mid 30s.
Okay. Something just says that Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't have the presence, the physical presence to do it. So I'm going to say 60%. Okay. I think he would make a good Bruce Wayne, but I don't know how I feel about him being Batman. But I could be wrong. Maybe he can put on 50 pounds of muscle pretty easily. Who knows? No, I think he's right now, if I'm correct, he's kind of at the top of the list for speculation. Okay. I don't think it's going to be him. I'm thinking I'm at 35% for really? Wow.
To be Batman. I think what's going to happen is they're going to go with a lesser known actor that they can lock up for about 4 films or something.
Right.
I think, now I know the DCEU proper is done.
Right.
But still, I think you'd want to be able to lock in a guy for at least 3 films.
Right.
So I think by using that rationale, I think it's going to be, because you don't want to spend, 20 mil a picture just on Batman's, whatever it's going to be. Right. So I think it's going to be a lesser known guy, but I just don't know who yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and it's also that three film thing. That's no guarantee it's going to be a starring film. I mean, what if this, Joker film does gangbusters and they want to bring the two together? I don't know. I have no idea what that really means. Yeah, I mean, I've seen. Although I did read a headline. I didn't read the article, but I did read a headline that said DC's saying that they will not cast an unknown. So lesser known, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not thinking like a total like Hayden Christensen type thing. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying maybe a guy who's had supporting roles in smaller films, or not somebody who's going to be like, it's not going to be John Hamm. All right, it's not going to be like that kind of a thing.
It's not going to be. It's Armie Hammer.
He's a strong contender. If I had to go, I was going back between Hammer and Gyllenhaal when I was coming up with the list. So I think he'd be a great choice. Let me see. How old is Armie Hammer? He's 32.
Yeah, that works.
I think he would be a really strong replacement. There was I'm blanking. There's a Twitter person I follow. I think it's like Ben Boulez or something. Something on Twitter. But he went through he had this whole thread about making Batman black. And after reading through the thread, I'm like, oh, that would be incredible. That'd be a great story.
Yeah.
Well, the Waynes are still the Waynes and famous and rich, but they're not as famous as if they were white.
Right.
And dealing with segregation and having like Joe Chill be black. But when the Waynes are killed, the police aren't that even interested in going after, go investigating the crime. And then, or what happens if it ends up being the Waynes end up getting killed by a cop, and then how does that shift Batman's perspective? The whole thing I think would be fascinating to see. Sadly, I don't think it'll ever happen, or at least not in this next iteration.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it'd be awesome if Batman was black. Honestly, I don't see, like, as long as the character is relatively the same character, I don't really think it matters what race they are. Although if they do, I'm going out on record right now, and I don't care how many people I may upset about this, but I do not want Michael B. Jordan to be Batman or Bruce Wayne if they decide to go that route. I'm tired of looking at him. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think for me, it's his charm doesn't work so much. I don't know. He's very affable. I think he's even in Creed, where he's got some dramatic performances and some other films, and of course Fruitvale Station, which he's fantastic in. But I don't. That's interesting. I think I'd be all right with Jordan. I think, though, upon reflection, I think maybe Hammer would be the ideal choice. What about Oscar Isaacs? Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, he could do it. Yeah, that would be an interesting choice as well. Although it seems like he's in everything. Isn't he in Villeneuve's Dune at this point? Hasn't he just been announced for that?
I think almost everybody's in Dune right now.
Yeah, I know, right? They're just putting together the most attractive cast they can. It would have been really interesting.
Isaac's 39 though. Yeah, go ahead.
And it's too bad it'll never happen just because it can't happen. But just watching Cavill being in Mission Impossible, I think he'd been a much better Batman than he was a Superman.
Well, I don't know. I think the problem with that is just he got saddled with some bad films.
Sure.
I still think he could have been an all-time great Superman. He just never got the Superman film.
Right.
That he deserved.
But he would be. But come on.
But you're right.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Cocking his guns. Let's do this. Cocking his biceps.
Fair enough. What do you got?
All right. So we know there's going to be a Top Gun 2, right? They're in the middle of making it now.
Yep.
So, Chris, what are the odds we're going to get a sweaty, shirtless sports scene?
Oh, are you kidding me? That's 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. That's one of the most iconic moments in the history of cinema.
Okay.
There's no way they don't do that again.
Okay, wait. Okay, then what are the? This is my follow-up. This is a two-parter. Then what are the odds that it's a volleyball game?
I'll go 75% on that.
75% it's a volleyball game?
I'm still confident, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm 100% with you that there's going to be a sweaty, shirtless a sports scene. Although I'm much less confident. I'm saying maybe 45% that it's volleyball. I don't know if they're going to go back to that well. You know, I could see shirtless badminton. You know, maybe a game of pickup basketball or something.
Could be. That's true. It very well could be that too. I like that one. All right. I think that's good. What are the odds, Matt, that Bryan Singer ends up directing Red Sonja after all? Because right now he's still attached to it, but he is facing, and deservedly so, a firestorm of criticism right now.
Right. I would say 30%. I just think it's going to be quietly dropped out because this thing is still, you know, kind of in development hell, or it's getting very close to being in development hell. And I think if he's tied up for a long time and becomes unavailable, they will use that as an excuse to drop him, which they should.
I agree. I'm going to go 24% just to be different, but I agree with you entirely. I think at some point he will exit the project, and hopefully that'll be it, and we won't see him around anymore. So let's see.
All right, so this is my last one, Chris. You ready?
Yep.
So our boy Jordan Peele, who's become horror renaissance man du jour, although I'm hope he doesn't get too typecast into this. I think this will probably be his last one for a while. But he is remaking Candyman, which I'm kind of excited about. So what are the odds that the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Todd shows up in this film?
Again, it's going to be 100%. There's no way that he doesn't do that because, you know, Peele he's always very respectful about this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he appreciates the history of these properties. So there's no way that Tony Todd doesn't make some type of appearance in some capacity in that film. He'll show up. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be in a poster. Maybe it'll be a cover of a magazine or something. But the visage of Tony Todd, or at least his voice or something, in some capacity, will show up in this film. No,
you need Tony Todd in his voice. I mean, those are you can't have a picture of Tony Todd and not hear his dulcet tones, his terrifying dulcet tones. That would be cool is if they had like some kind of like Candyman changes depending on who, like, you know, who's telling the story. Like old guys are talking about Tony Todd Candyman, but now it's new Candyman, whoever the hell they're talking about now. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna go 70%. I really want it to happen, although I'm less confident.
Wow. Okay. Matt, what are the odds that James Gunn's reboot of the Suicide Squad will outperform financially his Guardians of the Galaxy films?
0.
Individually, not combined, obviously.
0%.
0, huh?
0%. Outperform is that's a bold statement. I'm going to say 0%. I think, and the only reason I say that is that yes, James Gunn has they're going to push Guardians Galaxy, you know, and all the hype and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really, really interested to see what he does with it. But that first one is just not good. And I think it's going to leave it's going to maybe scare some people off. So we'll see.
That first one, with almost no real name recognition for the Suicide Squad, made almost $750 million. I mean, that's insane to me. So if you're going to bring in Gunn, when you know it's going to have better reviews, there's no way in hell it's not going to be a better film. So let's take a look. So 746, right? The first Guardians of the Galaxy, 773. So it just beat it. And what about Volume 2? 863, almost 864. So both of those films outperformed a Suicide Squad movie that did not have good reviews and had Guardians of the Galaxy had no real name recognition either as a product.
Right. Even less, because I mean, at least people knew who the Joker was, and they were just looking forward to the disaster that was Jared Leto.
But they didn't have a draw like Chris Pratt. I don't think Will Smith is the draw that Pratt is anymore. Maybe if you look at the returns of his the last like 5 years of his films, it's clearly that way.
Oh boy, this is another one where our respective fandoms are showing. I'm saying 0%. Chris is going to say like 100%, 95%.
Oh God, no. I'm not sure it will. Just because I think that right now there is a bit of still even with the success of Aquaman and Wonder Woman, there's still I think your default reaction to these movies is like, it's probably not going to be good. Unlike with Marvel, your default's like, it'll be entertaining.
Yeah.
So I will say for me that the reboot will outperform Guardians. I'm going to say like 45%. I'm not that confident that that'll happen.
Okay.
But it'll be a better film than the original.
Oh, yeah.
One. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, that's almost a given. Although, did you hear that he turned down a Superman film? That he had the option.
I saw the headline of that today. I haven't read it yet, but it disappoints me.
No, I think his style and just kind of what he's done. I mean, it seems like kind of in the same wheelhouse as Guardians does, as Suicide Squad, but I think he could bring a lot to it. Although I don't know, it'd be more of a stretch to him. I think just from what I've seen of what he's made to do a Superman type film.
That's true. I think they got to do basically just adapt Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman. Take bits of that. If you want to know how to do Superman, read that series.
Yeah,
that perfectly distills everything that works and is great about that character. All right, I got one more for you, and it's a different kind of thing, Matt.
Okay.
Over under. How many Disney films in 2019 end up being in the top 10 grosser? All right, so here's what's coming out.
Okay.
Like we said, and I'm counting these other films. So you have Avengers.
Yep.
Sequel. You have Endgame.
Yep.
You have Star Wars.
Yep.
You have Spider-Man.
Yep.
Toy Story 4. Aladdin. Dumbo. The Lion King.
Yep.
Frozen 2.
Right.
That's 9 right there. There's also a Artemis Fowl, which is Disney. Jungle Cruise, starring The Rock and Emily Blunt, is coming out. There's a new Lady and the Tramp coming out as well at some point this year. That's 13 releases from Disney this year.
And you didn't even bring up Captain Marvel.
And Captain Marvel. Sorry, 14.
14. That they're going to have the entire top 10.
How many are they going to have in the top 10? Get over under. What's the number for them having it? How many are they going to have?
I'm going to say I'm about 100% confident they're going to have at least 7.
Yeah.
7 in the top 10. Because with Star Wars and Avengers and Spider-Man, that's for sure. Toy Story is going to be in the top 10 for sure.
That's 4 right there.
Yeah. Lion King.
Lion King's going to be huge.
Lion King's going to be a big deal. And then Frozen
Aladdin?
2. Frozen 2. Yeah. Okay. And then maybe Aladdin as the 7th.
All right. And that leaves you Captain Marvel yet?
Yeah.
Dumbo?
Yeah.
So I think 7 is the over-under. So it has to be. All right. So what is it going to be? So we'll say that over-under 7 films. So that's the number. They're going to have more than 7 or less than 7. So you're going to go.
I'm going to go over because I think that Captain Marvel could probably push its way into the 8th spot. I'm a little nervous about that Dumbo film because it just looks weird.
And it's Tim Burton.
It is Tim Burton. Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think over at 7 is the way to go.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they have all 10? What's another big film coming out in 2019 that's going to be
like a big franchise film like that? A proven property?
What else is coming out? So Joker? No. Maybe? No. Definitely not Dark Phoenix. Godzilla? I don't think so. Lego Movie 2.
That could bring it in. I would be surprised that if it didn't break the stranglehold.
Men in Black International.
No. As much as I hate to say it, John Wick. No. No John Wick, I don't think.
People turn out for those Fast and Furious movies, man.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't think it'll crack the top 10. So I think that's basically out of all the big films. I mean, Tarantino's film won't sniff that.
Yeah.
There's a Charlie's Angels reboot coming out. That won't beat any of those. Godzilla, that won't. I think Godzilla do well. What about Pokemon Detective Pikachu?
Maybe because we're kind of we were way. The Pokemon craze was like way before our time, or way after our time, I should say. So maybe we don't get it, but I think there is a huge fan base for that. So maybe it will, bring in a lot of stuff.
It Part 2.
No, I don't see it cracking the top 10. Not with that kind of a slate that it's facing up against. No way.
And what about Joker or Shazam?
I don't know. Shazam may be able to do it. Shazam looks like it's a lot of fun, and with Aquaman that did well as Aquaman did, I think Shazam has a real shot. Joker, if it's gonna be kind of more dark and stuff like that, I think it's gonna have a more limited audience, which will kind of cut into some of its, box office. Saying that, but that says nothing towards its quality.
Yeah, I don't think Joker will.
No.
Shazam maybe, but if it does, it'd be like 10.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate it not getting into the top 5 for sure. Maybe 7 through 10 at the most.
Right.
So, but Disney could end up having the 10 biggest films of the year, which blows my mind.
That's insane.
They could have it all.
All films are Disney. All films are Disney.
This is what the future is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just not necessarily going to be a good thing, folks. I'm telling you right now. It's not going to be good.
We just need the 3 seashells and the franchise wars. So all restaurants are Taco Bell.
That's right. That's right. All right. That was a fun What Are the Odds? And I like the introduction of a over-under. We have to bring that back. I think that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about all those films? What do you think? Is Disney going to have all 10? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Next week's not looking good. So our plan is to do Serenity right now because it's supposed to be just bonkers.
Yeah.
Which I think might be kind of fun. And then what are we doing? Velvet Buzzsaw? There's something else. I don't know.
Velvet Buzzsaw, I think, was what we talked about. I'm down for that.
So that'll be a fun one. And as always, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just do a search for The First Run. Scroll. You will eventually find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. That's how other people will find the show. And then finally, for the stinger this week, we say goodbye to Mr. Dick Miller, who has if you know what Dick Miller is, there's a documentary basically called That Guy, Dick Miller. Even when you see him, even when you hear his voice, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that guy. He was in The Terminator. He was in Gremlins, Pulp Fiction, The Burbs, The Howling, Gremlins 2, Little Shop of Horrors, After Hours, Twilight Zone, the movie, Explorers, Matinee, Inner Space. He's been in everything. And we're going to play a clip for you today featuring not only him, but Tom Atkins. It doesn't get more 80s than that from Night of the Creeps. So now we're going to go ahead, Matt, and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
Flamethrower!
Yeah.
Flamethrower! Jeez. What's the matter? The old snub nose ain't good enough for you anymore?
I know. Just break out the old heavy artillery, will you, Walt?
Six shot, one BB gun, and one flamethrower. There you go. By the way, you gotta watch out for this baby. Once you light the pilot, it goes out, and it plays hard to get like a son of a bitch.